So you've been going along quite nicely, hitting your weight loss targets, then all of a sudden you hit that dreaded plateau. So what's the deal? Why is it that what you were doing is no longer getting you results? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why you've hit that plateau and 7 proven strategies on how you can break through. Hey guys, Jay Baker, founder of Primal Project, leaders in fat loss and body transformation. And in this video, I'm going to show you why it is that you've hit that dreaded plateau and 7 strategies on how you can break through. So first off, let's identify if you're actually in a plateau. Now, if you've been aiming to lose weight, yet it's been stagnant for a few weeks, you, my friend, are not in a plateau. When losing weight, you will go through peaks and troughs. Some weeks you'll lose more than expected. Others, you may actually gain weight even though you've stuck to the same diet and exercise program. So if it's still early on in your journey and weight is only stagnant for a few weeks, I would continue to stick to the plan. Now, if your weight's been stagnant for, say, 6 weeks, then you could consider yourself in a bit of a plateau. But remember to have perspective on this. If you've been putting weight on fairly quickly in the past, a plateau is still somewhat of a win when you compare it to where you were. So don't get too upset. But if you were wanting to get the weight moving lower, then there's a few changes you may need to consider. Now, the first strategy is by far the most important, and it's often why you've hit the plateau in the first place. Weight loss is always predicated on an energy balance equation, that being calories in versus calories out. Now, weight loss only occurs in a calorie deficit, which simply means that you're burning more energy than your body needs to maintain its current weight. Often when people hit a plateau, it's because they either haven't adjusted their calorie intake, meaning what got you from 100 kilo to 90 kilo won't necessarily get you from 90 kilo to 80 kilo. Now, if you're not familiar on tracking calories for weight loss, check out my video on using MyFitnessPal as a calorie tracker, and I'll link a calorie calculator in the description below. The other reason people may no longer be in a deficit like they were initially is because their level of adherence to the particular diet they were following has slipped, meaning instead of consuming an average of 2,000 calories a day, they're now consuming 2,500 calories a day. So before we move on to any of the other strategies, I need to really emphasize the importance of this calorie deficit because the 6 other strategies are simply built around making it easier for you to remain in the deficit to elicit fat loss. So again, use the calorie calculator in the link in the description to figure out the deficit you need to maintain based on your current weight. All right, strategy number 2 is, believe it or not, tracking your food. Now, a number of studies have proven that those who have lost significant amounts of weight and managed to keep it off long term still track their food intake in some way or another. Now, although this may simply be by consciously eating or planning their meals, it shows the importance that you need to really pay attention to your diet and food quantities. Just like we mentioned in strategy number 1, maintaining a calorie deficit is the key to breaking through this plateau, and to do that, you need to know your numbers and track your calorie intake at least until you're in tune enough to know how much you need to consume each day to achieve your desired outcome. So again, using an app like MyFitnessPal to do that will make life much easier. So check out link to that video in the description. Okay, strategy number 3 is to increase your protein intake. Now, there's 2 reasons why we typically get our clients to increase protein. One is to help preserve and look after muscle mass when they're in a deficit, and second is protein is quite filling, so it makes it much easier for someone who has a weight loss goal to maintain a calorie deficit. Foods typically high in protein are your meats like chicken and beef, and seafoods like fish. Now, if you don't consume a lot of protein in your diet right now, I recommend starting at a daily intake of around about 1.5 grams per kilo of body weight, or about 0.7 grams per pound. If you already consume a good amount, then I recommend pushing more towards 2.2 grams per kilo, or about a gram per pound of body weight. Now, before we move on, if this video is bringing you value, please hit the like button, as it simply means more people like you will see it. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, as I know less than 2% of you currently watching this are subscribed. So hit that subscribe button, and it just lets me know that you want to keep seeing videos like this and you want me to keep making them for you. All right, strategy number 4 is to fix your sleep. Now, it's probably not something that you consider when losing weight, but sleep has a huge impact on your ability to lose body fat. Now, think of it like this. If you don't get a good night's sleep, you tend to be tired throughout the day. Now that tiredness generally leads to you making bad decisions around food, typically because you're looking for a quick hit of energy. It also means you're most likely going to skip your gym session or exercise for the day as well. So I recommend setting a goal of getting a minimum of 7 hours sleep per night. Some people do better on a little bit more and some people do better on less. So track your sleep and see how you feel, and you should be able to get a good read on just how much you need to feel well rested. I also recommend using a bedtime alarm the same way you use a wake-up alarm. Now this setting is already available on the iPhone and Android phones. Now I know some of you may have babies or toddlers or even work split shifts, so you just need to do the best you can in your current circumstance. The next strategy is to increase your NEAT. Now, NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, this is all the movement you do throughout the day that we don't really classify as exercise. For example, walking to the letterbox would be a form of NEAT. Twiddling your thumbs would be NEAT. Taking a shower would be NEAT. It all takes some level of energy, be it big or small. Now on average, this energy accounts for 10 to 15% of our daily energy usage. Now, although this may not account for much over the span of one day, if we can increase this number consistently over a number of months, it can have a huge impact on reducing our weight. So if you're in a plateau right now, there's a good chance that your NEAT levels have dropped. And this isn't unusual because when you drop into a calorie deficit, your body will naturally try to preserve energy. This often means we can feel a little bit lethargic. That's why it's important that we keep our NEAT as high as possible if we want to break through those plateaus. The easiest way to track this is to use a steps tracker and set yourself a goal. For example, if you're not overly active, maybe you set a goal of 5,000 steps a day. If you're reasonably active already, aim for about 10,000 steps a day. I'll leave a link in the description to some of my favorite fitness trackers on the market right now. Strategy 6 is to change your exercise. Now, chances are, if you're in a plateau right now, you may have gone a bit stale with your exercise. If that's the case, I recommend changing things up. I'm always a big fan, especially if you have a weight loss goal, of finding some form of cardio you enjoy. This can often come from sport or a hobby. So if you've been jogging away on a treadmill, maybe look to change that by taking a bike ride outdoors or playing some tennis with friends. Cardio doesn't need to be boring, and in fact, if you're sticking to your calorie deficit numbers, cardio should only really be seen as supplemental anyway. So don't get too tied up in thinking that you need to burn a lot of energy all the time, because it's simply not the case. Plus, you'll often find you burn the candle too hard at both ends, those ends being exercise and diet. You won't maintain that type of lifestyle for too long anyway. Now, I'm a big fan of weight training to help with building muscle and preserving muscle mass, so if that's not something you're currently doing, I strongly recommend hunting down a gym nearby and really finding an experienced trainer just to show you the basics. Last up, and extremely important in my experience, is meal prep. Now, this ties into sticking to a calorie deficit. If you're having trouble doing that at the moment, and if you've plateaued, then you most likely are, I know that meal prep is an important step for you. Now, this doesn't mean that you prepare every meal in advance, but it's important to consider where you struggle the most right now with your diet and then look to plan ahead. For example, if you find you're heading down to the cafe next to work at lunch and grabbing a burger and fries, which may account for 60% of your daily calories, then this may be a good time to prepare your lunch meal at home and then take it with you. Same may go for after dinner. If you find that you can't stay away from treats and ice cream after dinner and it's really blowing out your calories for the day, maybe you look to meal prep an alternative for that time. An example could be some Greek yogurt blended with frozen berries to make an ice cream alternative that would be a third of the calories. Now, if you're looking for a great guide as to how to make the perfect fat loss meals, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get every fat loss resource I've ever created, including free books and workout programs to help you on your journey. All right, question of the day is this. If you're in a plateau right now, why exactly do you think that is? I'd love to get your feedback so I can learn more about how I can help you. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.